I'm Nathan Olivarez-Giles.
I'm Michelle Maltais.
And this week we're taking a look at iOS 5 on the iPhone and the iPad. And before we get started on actually talking about what's good and bad about the software, let's talk about what a pain it was to actually get this loaded onto our devices.
Let me tell you, I usually enjoy and look forward to updates, and elation turned so fast to frustration. You know, I had expected to spend some time with it, but 12 hours was ridiculous. It took me 12 hours to just get this thing backed up.
Just on your phone?
Just on my phone, and then it bricked.
Yeah, getting it installed on my iPad took about 45 minutes, which I thought was really bad until you told me it took you 12 hours, which is ridiculous.
Now that said, some people did not have those problems. I know our publisher, for one, his iPad moved smoothly, which is good for the folks who are updating it, I'm sure.
But he had almost no apps and no photos and video on there, right?
Right.
So that might be a problem. Of course, people were saying that maybe it was an overload of servers, which makes us really question how effective that massive server center in North Carolina for Apple is at this point, given that they created that specifically for iCloud and to help us in this transition.
Speaking of iCloud, for those of us who transitioned from Mobile Me to iCloud, that was another iStorm. It was hung up for hours. They should have anticipated how many people have iPhones and iPads and how many subscribers they have to Mobile Me. They should have known and been able to accommodate for that.
So on a more positive note, let's talk about some of the things on the iPad that we actually like. One of the things that really stood out to me and I thought was really cool and reminded me a lot of what we're getting on macOS 10 Lion was multi-touch gestures. And 4 fingers across here will allow you to swipe from app to app. Pretty cool. 5 fingers allows you to close out of any app. And then, once you're in an app, 4 fingers up allows you to see your little app switching dock. Another feature that really stood out to me that I could see myself using a lot, especially with family and friends, is iMessage, which allows for people with iDevices to message for free other folks with iDevices.
Absolutely. We were testing it out between an iPhone and an iPad. And even though it's really cool, you found it a little bit clunky, didn't you?
Yeah, with this wide screen, you obviously need to use 2 hands. And it's pretty nice that they give you this feature here to split the keyboard. That makes things a little easier. But I definitely prefer texting on a phone rather than a tablet.
Something else that's also on the iPad and the iPhone, but a little bit cooler on the iPhone, is reminders. You can set up location-based reminders. So Nate, who's a fan of chicken and who isn't, would like to remind himself to go pick up some food for this evening. He can remind himself, he can set a reminder on his phone to alert him when he leaves the building, hey, get chicken!
Yeah, but unfortunately I don't have an iPhone 4, I don't have an iPhone 4S, I have an iPad, and I can't use the location services to remind me, so I'm just going to have to make sure to look at this before I leave the office, which isn't as convenient.
Well, going forward, we hope that they maybe add some ways of sharing the reminders with mates and such, honey-do lists.
So one thing that was also pretty great, in my opinion, is Twitter integration. I use Twitter a lot, and being able to just, see an article that I like and automatically share it to Twitter was really, really helpful and pretty cool. And you can do this with email as well. So I felt like it's not only going to be a good thing for Twitter, because of course they want to reach as many people as possible, but I thought it was an interesting idea because it almost feels like Apple saying, hey, tweets are, we consider them in the same realm as emails and text messages, which is a really different idea. Another addition to iOS 5 that I really enjoy is their notification center, which looks a lot like Google's Android, and that's a good thing. I got some email, a little Facebook reminder, and of course my chicken reminder.
Another thing that shows up on both the iPhone and the iPad is Newsstand.
And Newsstand looks pretty slick. It looks like a newsstand, a lot like iBooks here, but only what shows up are magazines, newspapers, publications that are taking part in Apple's App Store subscription program. Now those who don't get left out. I have a news folder where I keep all my newspapers and magazines and stuff like that, and this is kind of a halfway replica of that, but I can't actually put my Newsstand app into my news folder, which for me would be kind of more convenient. So it's like half of the same folder again in a slightly prettier presentation. So that's a pretty quick look at iOS 5 on the iPad and the iPhone. I think we can both agree that there's a lot of worthwhile stuff here. You should upgrade your devices to iOS 5.
But I'd probably wait until Monday just to let the craze cool down.